Forces Special Powers Act, that is AFSPA or AFSPA. What is Armed Forces Special Powers Act? We are going to study details about this AFSPA or Armed Forces Special Powers Act, because we know currently this is in news, because in Manipur this AFSPA again been extended in the hill districts. Okay, or we have to know about this, because this becomes an important question to be asked in the coming examination or APSC interview. So what is Armed Forces Special Powers Act? This was introduced in 1958, confers on members of the armed forces special powers to rein in suspect in areas declared disturbed on account of the insurgent activities or similar threats. Remember, we are talking about after independence, but this has been introduced even before that. Let me go to that. So history, if we talk about the history, it was introduced on 15 August 1942 by the British. Okay, the British promulgated the Armed Forces Special Powers Ordinance to suppress the Quit India movement. So it was British who brought this Armed Forces Special Powers Act, or AFSPA. So that's why it is being criticized that this is a kind of colonial era law, right? Because it was introduced during the time of Quit India movement to suppress it on 15 August 1942. Then in 1954, the country faces insurgency in Naga district of Assam, because at that time Naga district was a part of Assam, right? And then insurgency was a major problem in Naga district. So government passes the Armed Forces Special Power Act 1958. So it was Naga district in independent India where this AFSPA brought first, or being introduced, or you can say implemented first. Then in 1964, United National Liberation Front, a separatist militant group seeking independence from India, formed in Manipur, followed by formation of many other insurgent groups. So Manipur declared a disturbed area, and Armed Forces Special Power Acts imposed in the late 1980, started in the phased manner in late 1970. Then in Tripura, a tribal movement against Bengali migrants from Bangladesh started in 1947. Situation worsened in 1967, and by 1970, as the migrants start retaliating, security situation worsens, and the government imposes Armed Forces Assam and Manipur Special Power Act in Tripura in November 1970. The act was fully imposed in the state on 16 February 1997 following spurt of violence by the ultras. The law has been lifted today. So we will talk about that. Then in 1990, now we will talk about Assam. Okay, in 1990, following a large-scale violence perpetrated by the United Liberation Front of Assam, that is Alpha in Assam, the entire state was declared as a disturbed area, and the Armed Forces Assam and Manipur Special Power Act was enforced. So, my dear listeners from Assam, you have to remember this particular year. That is, in 1990, this ASPAPA or Armed Forces Special Powers Act, Assam and Manipur, was being enforced in Assam. Okay, then the Armed Forces Special Power Act, Punjab and Chhattisgarh, was enforced in Punjab and Chhattisgarh on 15 October 1980. It was withdrawn from the state in the 1997, and in 1990 September, Parliament passes the Armed Forces Jammu and Kashmir Special Power Act, which was deemed to have come into force retrospectively from 5th July 1990. Then, following insurgency by various separatists, leftists, tribal rebels in Arunachal Pradesh, the government extended AFSPA to all the districts of Arunachal Pradesh that borders Assam in March 2015. So, this is a brief history about AFSPA. Now, if you look at the areas where Armed Forces, or you can say Armed Forces Special Powers Act, there, you can see here that it was being enforced in Punjab and then repealed in 1997. Right here, this green color means repeal. This color means entire area, and this color means select area. So you can see here in Jammu and Kashmir, some area are entire area under state of this AFSPA, and some part are just partial area are under AFSPA. In Assam, enacted in this, you can see 1958. But at that time, you know, we are talking about Naga district, right? But in 1990, it was enforced in the entire Assam to combat the alpha insurgency. Then in Manipur, entire state except for Impal and municipal area. Then Tripura repealed in 2015. Got it? Okay. So what are the special powers that we are talking about under this AFSPA or Armed Forces Special Powers Act? Okay. So AFSPA actually allows any commission officer or warrant officer or non-commissioned officer or any other person of equivalent rank to fire upon or use force against any person acting in contravention of any law for the time being in force in the eastern area. So the power being given, entire power being given to army, if they feel that that person is showing something or acting in such a way that is against the law, then they can even shoot that person. Such a power is given under Armed Forces Special Power Acts, means shoot to death also. Okay, then arrest suspicious people without warrant, means without warrant also under this Armed Forces Special Power Act, power being given to the this armed forces to arrest any suspicious people they think about that. Okay, then destroy any structure suspected to house an arms dump and shelter from which armed attacks are made or likely to be made. Means if any particular home or any particular structures are there where that army persons or that those armed forces feel that any attack or some kind of security threat is there, they can even destroy it. Then conduct searches without warrants for evidence to recover a wrongfully confined person or property or arms or explosive. And AFSPA bars prosecution or proceedings except which enters notes against personnel for action committed while exercising powers under the act. What this means actually? It means that immunity given to the armed forces. So here we have seen that a lot of power given to the armed forces under the AFSPA Act. Okay, so this is a question that whether it is justified to give such a power like to shoot to death, arrest without warrant, or destroy any structure, or search without warrant. So this type of powers should be given to the armed forces or not. We'll discuss about that. Now, if we talk about the Assam, in Assam, it has been lifted from 23 districts partially from 1 district and remain in force in 9. Okay, then withdrawals covers around 60% of state area. You just remember that this AFSPA from Assam, question may be come in the interview that they may ask you that in Assam, whether this being fully withdrawn or not, this AFSPA, Armed Forces Special Power Act, totally withdrawn from Assam or not. So you have to say that it is withdrawal, means up to an area, or you can say 60% of state's area, means AFSPA already withdrawn from 60% of state's area. And even our chief minister is promising that if the situation is okay, then this AFSPA will be removed or withdrawn completely from Assam in the coming times. Then if we see in the Nagaland, this is withdrawn totally from 3 districts and partially from 4. Withdrawal covers 25% of the area, similarly from Manipur. But thing is that in Manipur, it is being extended actually, because you know the law and order situation is totally worsened in Manipur, right? So that's why it is in news. So now, as I have said, that this is a kind of colonial era law, because or colonial era act, because this was introduced by British in response to the Quit India movement, right? Now, you already got what is AFSPA, what are the power given to the army persons. Now, thing is that we have to talk about what are the controversies around this acts. Means কি আছে controversy কি আছে, মানে how we can means why we should criticize this acts, right? ऐसा क्या है इस एक्ट को हम क्रिटिसाइज करना चाहिए? जो पहले सबसे पहले ये है कि दिस इज ए काइंड ऑफ व्हाट colonial era ৰ কাৰণ আপোনালোকে গম পাইছে যে কুইট ইণ্ডিয়া মুভমেণ্টৰ সময়তে এইটো এক্ট অনা আছিল বা এণ্ড দ্যাট ৱাজ দ্য এৰা অফ ব্ৰিটিছ চ' দ্যাট ইজ এ কাইণ্ড অফ কণ্ট্ৰভাৰ্চি ইটসেল্ফ বিকজ নাও ব্ৰিটিছ ইজ নট হিয়াৰ. Even in the British also, Britain also, you can see the status of this act. So why in India? So that is again the first question. So if you see here, why AFSPA is controversial, this act has several sections, like section 4 empowers the army to search premises, make arrests without warrants, and use extreme force. So if the army, if their army wants, they can search any premises. If they feel, or if they feel means if they think that there is a question of security. Yes, it is required in some places, but again to think that whether it is okay to give this power to means entire without any particular kind of restriction to the army or is correct or not. Then section, this is about section 4. You got it? Empowers army to search or make arrests without any warrant. And then section 6 says that it stipulates the arrested persons and seized and property are to be made over to the police with little delay. Then section 7 offers protection to army men acting in good faith in their official capacity. Prosecution is permitted only after the sanction of the central government. So providing immunity to the army. So this is again a question. So what we have seen, first criticism or first controversy you can say here is that, sir, because of this AFSPA, human right violations can be seen. Because this law empowers the security personnel down to non-commissioned officers to use force and shoot even to the causing of death if they are convinced that it is necessary to do so for the maintenance of public order. If you don't forget, if you recall about the Nagaland incident, right? I think this year or last year, if you can recall that several persons being killed by Assam police, not Assam police, sorry, Assam rifles, I think. Because they thought that, or they convinced that they were kind of threat or they were kind of some insurgents. So that's why these things happened. So they had been killed. Those innocent civilians being killed. So we cannot actually criticize some rifle for that because of some misinformation that might take place. But that is again a kind of human right violation, right? So again, it also grants soldiers executive powers to enter premises, search and arrest without a warrant. The exercise of these extraordinary powers by armed forces has often led to allegation of fake encounters and other human right violations by security forces in disturbed areas, while questioning the indefinite imposition of AFSPA in certain states like Nagaland and Jammu Kashmir. So right now, I just given the example of Nagaland. So as a common people, we should not say without evidence that that was wrong decision or these things, that we are only talking about the human right violations, that whether to kill some persons without any perfect evidence or only just on the based on some conviction, is it right or wrong? What we can see here, a kind of total human right violation. That is a controversy, right? That is a criticism. Then misuse of absolute power, the absolute authority vested on or in the armed forces to shoot on one side, based on mere suspicion and for an offense as basis as violating an order. The power to shoot on sight violates the fundamental right to life, making the soldier on the ground the judge of the value of different lives and people, the mere subjects of an officer's discretion. So it violates the fundamental rights to life. You know that. So misuse of absolute power may happen if that officer who is taking that decision to shoot on sight, whether he is making correct decision or whether he is doing for some kind of, you know, that I should not say about it. So this is a total misuse of absolute power if some wrong officers will misuse this particular AFSPA. Then violates the fundamental. I just told you that this violates the fundamental right to life. The power of arbitrary arrest and detention given to the armed forces goes against the fundamental right vested in Article 22 that provides safeguards for preventive and punitive detention. You know, Article 22 what it gives is the safeguard for preventive and punitive detention. So when AFSPA comes into act, so there is nothing kind of such kind of safeguards under Article 22. It is totally destroyed. So the Supreme Court has clearly stated that the person arrested has to be submitted to the court within 24 hours of the FIR. Then immunity against the punitive actions. The greatest outrage against the AFSPA is due to the immunity given to the armed forces. This means if they shoot also, if they kill also, then no prosecution, suit, or another legal proceeding shall be instituted except with the provision section of the central government. So the immunity which protects guards and also facilitates the armed forces to take unwarranted decisions at time is clearly questionable, right? Now, some recommendation we have to go through with respect to this AFSPA. First one is the recommendation of Jeevan Reddy Committee. In November 2004, the central government appointed a 5-member committee headed by the Justice B.B. Jeevan Reddy to review the provisions of the act in the northeastern state. And what this committee recommended that AFSPA should be repealed and appropriate provision should be inserted in the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act 1967. Okay, the should be modified to clearly specify the powers of the armed forces, and the parliamentary forces and grievance cells should be set up in each district where these armed forces are deployed. That was the recommendation from this Jeevan Reddy Committee. So, according to it, AFSPA should be repealed and appropriate provision should be inserted in Unlawful Activities Prevention Act 1967. Then second ARC also recommended that the fifth report of the second administrative reforms, if you know about this ARC, this you know already that it is very important. So the fifth report of this second administrative reforms commission on public order has also recommended the repeal of AFSPA. However, this recommendation have not implemented because this is not mandatory. It is just a kind of recommendation, right? So ARC, Administrative Reform Commission, second ARC, they also recommended the repeal of the AFSPA. Now, what the Supreme Court views on this act? The Supreme Court has upheld the constitutionality of AFSPA in a 1998 judgment, Naga People's Movement of Human Rights versus Union of India. In the judgment, Supreme Court held that a suo motu declaration can be made by the central government. However, it is desirable that the state government should be consulted by the central government before making such declaration. So Supreme Court said that yes, central government can make a suo motu declaration about this imposition of AFSPA. But before that, the state government should be consulted by the central government. Now, the declaration has to be for a limited duration, and there should be a periodic review of the declaration. The 6 months have expired. So there is not such kind of that infinite, for it AFSPA should be imposed for an infinite time. Supreme Court suggested that, Supreme Court held that this AFSPA should be imposed only for a limited duration, and there should be a periodic review of the declaration 6 months when 6 months have expired. Now, while exercising the powers conferred upon him by AFSPA, the authorized officer should use minimal force necessary for effective actions. So minimal force means that the officer should first try to try to combat that particular kind of unlawful activity, or what we can say some disturbed activity by in a disturbed area by some persons. He or should try to minimize its action to combat such type of disturbed actions. Means he should not directly go for shooting on sight or shoot to death, but before that he should give some proper warning, or he should shoot at the legs, or some kind of minimal action, not just directly jump into killing that particular person. right? So those are the recommendation or views of Supreme Court on the AFSPA. Although Supreme Court directly not saying that this should be repealed, but it is saying that a Suomoto declaration can be made only from the advice or from the you can say consultation with the state government first. Then only central government can go for imposing this AFSPA, and also there should be a limited duration for this declaration, and it should be reviewed after 6 months. And then also, while means exercising these powers, the officer should use only the minimal force necessary for the effective action. These are the recommendation of, or you can say, views of the Supreme Court. So we have seen some big recommendation. First, we have seen BP Jivan Reddy Committee. It already directed to repeal this act, right? And then the second ARC, it also suggested for repealing this AFSPA, and then Supreme Court. Now, what will be the way forward? Due to countless human rights violations that have happened over the years, the status quo of the act is no longer an acceptable answer. Status quo means current status. Okay, current status, or whether this act is currently required or not. This is again a question, and this is no longer acceptable answer. In the region where it has been implemented, the AFSPA has become an emblem of tyranny. So as a result, the government must address the impacted individuals and assure them that positive action would be taken. The government should consider the imposition and lifting of AFSPA on a case-by-case basis and limit its application only to a few disturbing districts instead of applying it for the whole state. Right? Then government and the security forces should also abide by the guidelines set out by the Supreme Court. We have just seen what are the Supreme Court views on this particular AFSPA, that only minimal forces should be applied, then also only for limited duration, and also 6 months inquiry, or you can say review. Right, so state government should be consulted first before imposing this declaration by central government. Then Jivan Reddy Commission, then National Human Rights Commission, their recommendation should be actually avoided by the government while going for imposing this type of AFSPA. And first and foremost suggestion or way forward in this case is that don't go for applying AFSPA for the whole set, because if AFSPA is there, then you can see that the growth or development, or you can say industrial development or economic development of that particular region or of that particular state is kind of slowed down. Because if AFSPA is there, peoples or industrialists have a worry about imposing or about investing their money in that particular area for the industrial or industry setup, or like such kind of business activities. So AFSPA should be removed in a place where situation is okay. Then only we can expect a economic development of that particular region, right? Okay, so I think enough discussion about AFSPA. So we have discussed about what is AFSPA. We have seen that this is a kind of colonial era law. In first, it was being enacted in during the Quit India movement, 1942. 15 August 1942, and then we have seen that for the first time it was enacted in 1958 to combat the Naga insurgency. Then in Assam we have seen it is being enacted in 1990 to combat Alpha insurgency, and we have seen several states also where it is being imposed, and some states where it has been lifted already. Okay, in case of Northeast, you can give the examples of Tripura, or you can give the example of Meghalaya, like that. And currently, the Chief Minister of Manipur actually said or informed that extended the imposition of the Armed Forces Special Act in the whole state except in the jurisdiction of 19 police stations in the 7 districts of Imphal Valley for another 6 months. Okay, so what do you think about AFSPA? Whether it should be repealed or whether it should be kept? Let's have a discussion on that. We have a comment section for such kind of discussion. So give your viewpoints or give your analysis on this particular AFSPA. So that will make our discussion a fruitful one. We can have a good discussion on that. So with this, I'm ending this session. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.